All right, we're back for another Time's Up episode. It's 25 minutes. We're going to do it. Before we start the clock, I just want to set up this article. It's in the Hamilton Spectator. It's about Hamilton, and it's called Toward a Bird's Eye View of Racism in Hamilton, written by Tevish Monroe. It's basically this professor, M.L. Joseph, from McMaster University. He's a social work professor. He's getting paid every year to set up a study on whether racism exists in Hamilton. I know that sounds like hyperbole by saying if racism exists, but I'll get to that. Apparently, so Hamilton is second highest in
second highest, folks. Pay attention.
And so this
write that down.
Second highest. First is Thunder Bay. We've talked about this. But the quote that really got me in this article, this is why I said like he's studying they're going to take people who suffer from hate crimes in the city or whatever, and they're going to and take statistics and research whether racism exists. Mm-hmm. And I say that outside of hyperbole because the quote is, hang on, I'm just finding that quote. It's so professional of me. He's like, the hope is for, this is a quote in the article, the hope is for a kind of storyline, grounded in individual experience and high-level analysis for those who need convincing racism exists in Hamilton. All right, I'm going to start the clock. Give me 2 seconds. I'm going to start this clock. And here we go. So, yes. So, basically, they're setting up, they're going to study whether racism exists in Hamilton, which you and I both know. That's
definitely. Oh, most definitely. Yeah. I'm part of the group of people who benefit from racism. That's a
exactly. Hey, I like how you're second highest in hate crimes, but we need to study whether it exists or not.
But it's interesting how racism for white people is just that thing these colored people keep complaining about. You know, it's like a sunburn. Yeah, it's like their version of a sunburn. You know, fuck. Apparently it hurts. Apparently it's a pain in the ass.
Well, beast.
Like,
beast. Slavery's over.
What's that? Get over. What the fuck?
I was coming up with the title for this episode. I was just like, it's like ghost hunters. They're like or Bigfoot, like they're chasing Bigfoot storm chasers.
Exactly.
Racism exists, but we got to find it and prove it. We need to prove it first before we do anything.
We're the crazy people complaining about this supernatural phenomenon that white people can't see or understand.
Well, because again, it's personalized. It's And then, and also, like, do they really want? Is this about solving racism or solving the fact that you have the highest hate crimes against black people too? Or is it just like, hey, look, we're doing something?
Yeah, I kept reading the story, this piece, and the only thing that was driving me nuts is the question why? Why are we doing this so other cities could be like, hey, we might be fucked up, but at least we're not Hamilton fucked up. You know what I mean? It's like, is that
yeah, at least, Toronto. Like, look, you could be Toronto, but at least we're not. We're
at
okay
least we're not
here.
Hamilton. Yes, exactly. And exactly. And you know what? And the people involved in this, I'm sure would be pissed off at us. You know, look, we're actually trying to do something, and I feel like applauding you for it, but I mean, let me flip it, right? Let me think about it, right? Let's pretend we lived in a world where we were the racists. Black people were the racists, right? We enslaved white people. We stole their land. We put them through shit. You know what I mean? We fucking beat the humanity out of them. Okay. Now, just saying, damn, white people can dance. That's like a cruel thing to say. Come on, dude. You know, all this privilege you have, you're gonna make fun of white people's ability to dance. So I'm saying, how would I fix the problem, right?
Well, it would be white people can't dance because you wouldn't let them dance. Right. You took, like, at some point in their subjugation, you stopped them from dancing.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then years later, you're like, well, what the fuck? Why can't you dance?
People?
Like, holy shit, everyone can dance.
Well said.
Maybe you're just genetically predisposed to dancing. Maybe that's just the thing.
You know what I mean? Yo, and I personally, I think if white people want to solve racism, they really need to ask themselves, like, have an honest question. Do I want to get rid of this good shit that's been taking care of me? You know what I mean? That's been taking care of me. Now, there's white people who are like, hey, look, I don't associate with racist white people. I get it. But those racist white people are trying to create a world that would benefit you. And by you not saying anything about it, it's like you're along for the ride. It's like, hey, if they win or black people win, I'm good. You know what I mean?
Yeah. My problem is with like this, like trying to prove racism is like on a government level. On a government level, because that's what it is. It's the city paying for this. On a government level, what they're saying is, we don't know if racism exists. We don't know if it, and like if that's just on a government, like elected official level, like where do I stand in this? Like if you got to prove that racism exists, do you know how far it is for me to have racism?
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's
we need confirmation that you people aren't making this shit up.
And here's the thing, right? Like recently, they let a Muslim man die. They had this Muslim guy stopped a fight. He was coming home from a synagogue in Hamilton. He stopped a fight. This is
pause.
Incidents.
Muslim guy was coming back from the mosque.
And,
okay.
Yeah. So anyway, he stopped the fight. Apparently, there was a fight happening. He stopped it, and he got shot. And then the ambulance came and picked him up, and I guess they didn't believe him that he was shot, and they took him to the hospital, and he died. Yeah, they didn't believe he got shot, and so there's been an investigation with all this stuff. But like, that's not evidence. Like that, you don't see that. Oh, wait a second, there might be a problem.
Yeah. He's bleeding more than usual. What the fuck? I mean, I'm no paramedics, but you know, the sight of blood would be my first instinct. That
It also, like, you know, like the native people have been protesting, like they have Sir John A. Macdonald statues and shit. Like, and again, it's like, well, you know, this is, and it's the same. Well, it's denial of something that exists in other people's lives, and it's just like, well, fuck it. It doesn't bother me. So I don't know why we're, and then it's dismissed as, you know, we live in a time when the SJW shit is like so prevalent that everyone like can just dismiss anything as SJW shit. And so it creates this false, what's the word I'm looking for? But that's like this idea that there's a two-sided issue to people's human rights. Like they were talking about the Toronto police have been disinvited to march in the Pride Parade.
I just heard about that. Yeah, just read that.
Yeah. And so because, you know, we talked about Bruce McArthur, the serial killer, was going around murdering brown men for years. And the police didn't warn anybody, and now the gay community is like, well, fuck that. And if you know anything about the history of Pride, especially Pride in Toronto, it was based on police brutality. It's been a series of police brutality. But now that the police aren't invited, I see a lot of people online saying, and articles in like a National Post, of course, but like Toronto Star, where they're talking about how it's unfair to the police. Like this is unfair to them, and it's like, and they're putting up the idea of that there's a two-sided issue here. Like it's like. People complaining about this are being overly sensitive. But it's like, but why would I have the police who doesn't give a fuck about my community march in my parade, normalize them in my parade?
Right. Defeating the purpose of why we had the parade in the first place.
Exactly, and that's what this kind of thing is when you say, "Oh, we need to find out if racism exists." It's like you're creating another side to an issue that doesn't have another side. To say, no, racism doesn't exist.
Because they can. Bro, I've been analyzing this whole racism thing. In a way, I analyze it a lot in a way where I can explain it better than the usual racism is just that thing of cross burning. Nah, man, it's a little bit more complex than that. Like that's why I keep thinking, if I was a white person, how would I address racism? Well, one thing's for sure, until we can get to the point where white people are saying, okay, yo, that's something we need to fix, as opposed, because the guy who's heading this program is a black dude.
He
Prince
is.
Will Ogban. Yeah, I read the story. Yeah, attached to that link is I fucked up his name, didn't I?
That's okay. I would fuck it up worse than you.
So he's the one. I mean, good for him for having a job doing this. But it just makes me think of how seriously are we about ending slavery? Ending racism.
Like I said, I don't think we're serious about it. I don't think I don't think it's a thing. I mean, the liberal government's putting money towards this kind of thing, and research and helping out at-risk youth with mental health, with racism. But again, I have this joke about how white dudes. I understand that you have personal problems, and those are legitimate problems. The problem is I'm envious. Yes. I wish I could just worry about my personal problems. I wish I could have a week where all I had to worry about was paying my bills and not getting herpes. That'd be a fucking awesome week.
That and the shit I'm not allowed to say because or else I might hurt someone's feelings. I wish that was the limit of my worries. Yeah. That's what kept me up at night. Yeah, fucking PC culture.
Yeah, that's it. But again, it's like it's empathy, I guess. Like you said, I don't know if I was a white person. I don't know if I would be. I might be the same thing where I'm like, I don't see it. I don't know if I would fight it because I'm the type of person when I get information, I do research on it. I'll look it up and go, well, before I jump into any argument or fray or use any what I've learned from white people is to not lead with emotion.
Yes, I agree.
To lead with but I mean that's easier said than done. I was in Old Navy yesterday, re-upping my wardrobe. And I was so I'm paying for some shorts, and the woman at the cashier's like, she's like, what did she say to me? Oh, she's like, oh, how are you doing? I'm like, oh, thanks. I said, I'm good, thanks. And then she said to her, the person beside her, like kind of under her breath, I'm doing fine.
Oh,
bitch, shut the fuck up. Yeah, and I was just an asshole from that point on. Just fucking a dick.
You put the wrong guy.
You're a cashier. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. I'm doing fine. And I told my wife, I'm like, I can't prove it. But that's right. I know that's racist. I know she's the type of person that complains to her coworkers that every time we get a brown person, blah, 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 they're rude as shit. They don't give a fuck. Because I've heard them talk about black tipping and all that shit. I know they complain about it. I know that shit is.
Yeah, that's...
And to say it in front of me means you don't give a fuck about me.
Say it again?
To say that kind of shit in front of me means you don't give a fuck about me.
Very... yeah. You're not getting employee of the month with that shit. With that attitude...
How do you study that? What do you do? How do you they're gonna put fucking Egon Spengler's ghost spectrometer on?
Yeah. I can't picture myself going to them and say, hey, some dude called me nigga or this incident. Like I've learned to for self-preservation reasons to just take it in and process the feelings. It's a good thing it doesn't happen to me on the word microaggression. This aggression is not on a constant base because I'd probably snap. I'd probably be those people who takes it in and until the point that it explodes. But I cannot see myself going to the center. Maybe I could see myself complaining when racist shit happens to me. I let it out at a barbershop maybe, or in this kind of conversation.
Yeah, you have people to talk to. What I do is I go to Toronto. I got anxiety in this city. Not that there's always some sort of microaggression, but it's more of waiting for the microaggression. Everyone's a potential microaggression. Yeah. Everyone's you're oh fuck, someone's gonna say some shit, and I'm like nah. And not even in and sometimes not even in a hateful way. You'll get someone you fucking. Blah, 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 or they think you're not black. I was working at a job here, and some dude, one of the coworkers, I thought was a cool dude. He's he was pissed off at the boss or something, and he's like, they treat us like niggers here. I'm like, what the fuck?
I thought that was a French Canadian expression, but yes.
No, dude, apparently it's across the board. And it's just oh, fuck.
Who's talking about you?
If you
talking
know,
about you? Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
I said, no, I'm imitating your friend. I wasn't talking about you.
No, not well. But to him, I wasn't black, right? And then and in that is also another microaggression when they're you're not black. Shut the fuck up. And you're just I got to deal with this shit. I don't want to. I don't want to deal with this shit.
But you go through it. It's like baling cotton. It's it's fucked up. Hey, did you know? I don't know if you've seen. Okay. You know the Nat Turner story, Birth of a Nation, Nat Turner, the slave rebellion.
Yep.
Anyways, that he led a slave rebellion, and it didn't end too well for him after. But the point is, after that slave rebellion, apparently a lot of white people were like, "Oh wow, I didn't know these people didn't like slavery." Apparently, a whole bunch of them needed that rebellion to be like, "Oh wow!" Like they've been fed the information. And no, slavery's good to these people. 3/5 human beings, that they are. But
they love subjugation.
What's that? They love subjugation, and it's only after the rebellion a few of them were like, "Oh wow!" So it's kind of fucked up how we've gone from maybe that's progress that I don't have to like burn my boss's house down to show that there's something wrong.
Do you think there was a slave that enjoyed slavery? Do you think there was one person who's like, "Hey,
it's almost that way"? How are we gonna work? Like for them, that's how I survive. Sure, I get beaten a few times, but if I want to eat, if I want accommodation, I got to be nice to this white man and his family.
Well, also if you think about it, like if you're like. We were talking about this in Hamilton. If you don't that's your day to day, right? You're probably gonna die subjugated. You're gonna live and die subjugated. If you don't at some level accept it, if you don't get fucking what's that Stockholm syndrome on some level, that you're gonna live a cognitive dissonance, and it's gonna make you go crazy.
Yeah, either you snap and.
You were talking about a Hamilton friend who you were emailing about how racist Hamilton was because you didn't trust me. See, that's why we need the racism.
It's a denial thing. Okay, it's an automatic denial. So I'll admit, every once in a while, I'll have some Uncle Ruckus / white people behavior. Every once in a while, does. Right? As pro-black as I am, every once in a while, I'll do some white people shit. And when you said, "Hey, today's topic is racism in Hamilton," I'm like, "Come on, buddy. It's not that bad. Come on, man. How can a Canadian city be so bad?" I Google that shit. Fucking results. Hamilton, racism in Hamilton sucks. Hasn't gotten better. Fucking lady this. And blah, blah, blah. I'm like, what the fuck?
And what did your friend say? Because they grew up.
I just said, I texted I texted my friend who's a proud Hamilton, black dude, proud Hamilton dude from Hamilton, and I said,
"That's how when they're proud to be from Hamilton."
They're happy, No, but more like it's kind of like a black dude being from Mississippi. At some point you come to terms with the fact that it's home. It's racist. Like even me, French Canadians. There's a lot of racist French Canadians. Like I don't want to compete with Hamilton racism versus French Canadian racism. Get that going.
Yeah.
But I've come to terms with the fact that for all the racist ones, there's a few that I grew up with, and I'm close to consider them family. As hard as it is for me to admit, but they influence me like family members. So I see them as human beings with the racist relatives. Like I know that's what they're about. So the dude from Hamilton, I guess he's just like being in Hamilton. It's like being a fish in water. Like the racism in Hamilton was just like water to him. He's just he just accepted it. And his first response was, I was going for a yes or no answer, and he gave me a long paragraph. But the first sentence is, "There are racist people in Hamilton, if that's what you're asking." And period, stop. He goes, he didn't have much issues growing up, but that was years ago. When I was in grade school, there was a race war in my school. Yeah, you know what I mean? All this shit, like, skinheads and...
Well, that's the thing. I don't want to interpret his experience in Hamilton, but what I've noticed, a lot of black people that are born here and lived here, they think it's cool. Like, it's fine. Like... They it's just a way of life. I
think, unlike white people, I think for black people, we all know, everyone knows that you're not going to make it in the system if you complain about it. Sure, you can point it out, you know what I mean? But if you're constantly like, "Oh, racism sucks," like we all, like white people have an image of us constantly complaining about racism, but we know for a fact, no, you're not going to make it if you do that. So you just accept it as normal.
Pick your battles.
What's that? You pick your battles. Exactly.
Pick your battles.
Yeah, you pick your battles. You accept it as normal. But black people know for a fact that you're not going to make it if you're constantly complaining about it. But a white person will see one situation. They'll be like, how the fuck do you tolerate that? So,
but like also it's like you have to remember we're indoctrinated in the same system of white supremacy. Yes. Like so a lot of times we don't see it unless it's someone calling you nigger or fucking hanging someone from a tree or burning cross. So we go, oh, it's not that bad. For a long time, you accept. My whole life was a lot of accepting that what normal isn't me. What normal is how you know what I mean. Like my parent, bringing West Indian food to school and shit. That's not normal. Do you know what I mean? I didn't think it was bad or horrible. It just it's what normal is usually what white people do.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
That's
the way
system.
They talk,
that's
their accent,
indoctrination.
The way they dressed and everything. Yeah, you didn't want to stand out.
So when you start looking, for me, when I started looking at oh, wait a second, I am normal, and fucking really Get Out helped a lot. Was like when you start looking at it oh, wait a second, I'm not who I am and what I am. Like I was just talking to someone yesterday about Yuck Yucks and how Yuck Yucks, the owner said that if he puts 2 black people on a show or 2 gay people or 2 women, it becomes a novelty show. And to me, I accepted that for a long time. I mean, we talked about this, but I've accepted that as that's the norm. It's like, yeah, that's true. They can't sell the show because it's not, you can't have 2 black people on a show. And I mean, but then when you analyze and go, why is that considered? It's like they would never make Black Panther if we continued with that notion. Like the idea of oh, we can't make black movies because they don't sell. And it's like, but why is that? Oh, because it's not the norm. And then when you go, oh, but I am the norm. I am normal. Like this, it's not hard to tell my fucking story. It's not hard to be me. Like it's to really understand how someone is across the world. It's not that hard. It's not that difficult. You might have language barriers in different cultures, but they're people. They're normal in their world. So the idea in white supremacy is that you are a fringe. Yes. You are it's marginalization, right? So you are background players.
The whole time you were talking, I was thinking. I think I'll use one word. You said white supremacy. We're living in the white man's world, and I hate saying it, but that's our reality. We're just the guys sitting on the couch at the moment, and it's interesting how white people. There's one group who are like, yes, I want to keep it that way, and there's another group who are like, we want to keep it that way, but we don't want you to see it that way.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. Like when you talk about your friend in Hamilton, who's like, I didn't have, or you're like, oh yeah, it's not that bad. It's like you have to accept the marginalization to go. You have to accept.
Bad. Yeah.
And if you don't accept the marginalization, if you go fuck that, why can't I be the fucking why can't I be the lead actor in a show?
Yes.
Why can't, and I'm just using show business, but why can't I be the boss? Why can't I be this? Why is there not enough black? When you start looking at it that way, then you go, oh, there's a problem. When you start going, hey, wait a second, why don't I deserve more for the effort that I put into this? Yeah. Then you go, oh fuck, why am I automatically turned down? I just read somewhere that, and I don't know if it's happening here, but Toyota is paying people back because they were selling cars at higher prices for black people.
Oh shit! Wait, where did I notice that? Yeah, I saw that headline too, from Toyota. So that's actually going through. That's
yeah. Apparently, I just saw it. Someone just got some money. I saw it on Twitter. And that's what I mean is when you start going, well, fuck, why can't I get the same shit you get? Why can't I have the same opportunities? And intellectually, and when you say it out loud, it makes perfect sense. But when you live it day to day, you're like, wait a second. Why? You know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? Like when you're white, you could be mediocre, and you're still better than black.
Shit, yo! I've been thinking about that lately. I've been trying to put this shit into words, like Donald Trump after that Stormy Daniels interview. I'm like, I started to wonder, what if Donald Trump represented all men? That's who we are. That's exactly. You give us money and power. That's and indifference. Because Trump, all he has to live for is for himself. we would be exactly like that motherfucker. Like Obama was an exception because first black president, and it's not his country, and he can't go. Hey, we're gonna go to war with Kenya. Well, fuck you, nigga. You know what I mean? Like, back in your place, buddy. Like he couldn't make the same decisions that Trump could. But Trump, what's holding him back? Fucking nothing, man. All he's got to do is stay white and die. That's all his obligation.
That's all his only obligation. He can fuck up. He can mess up. He cannot know what he's doing. He can hire horrible people. He can be shitty as shit, and they'll still be like, well, whatever.
That's what it is.
And they'll still legitimize it.
Yeah.
Obama wore a tan suit. And they lost.
They lost his fucking. I read somewhere that a lot of employers are taking advantage of the fact that black people or people of color have the sense of purpose, the sense of I gotta do better, I gotta do well, I can like some white dudes can get in a position of power, and I don't give a fuck. I'm just doing it for myself. But Obama had to be a good president, and a lot of these employers are they will hire a person of color specifically for that reason, because they're bounded by the idea that they have to do good. They have to. They can't afford to look bad, make themselves look bad.
Well, and that's we hit 25, but I just want to the conversation's kind of slowly wrapping up, but still, and that's the point of this whole finding out if racism exists, because it's like, how do you find that out? Especially like, okay, well, when they're talking about if racism exists, it's like, okay, well, I was called nigger in this restaurant, but they're not talking about like that what you just said, where it's like for me to achieve the same amount as a white person, I have to work 10 times hard. Or, if I have a joint, I'm 3 times as likely to get charged 3 times as much, or I'm policed 3 times the amount. So it's like it's like you're going to study racism. That's going to if you're studying if racism exists, that's a fucking lifetime.
That's a lifetime. Yeah.
That's a lifetime, and you have to. And what's going to happen is you got to realize that your system's fucked, and people are going to lose jobs, because if you're in the government. And you don't, and if you legitimately want to find out if racism exists, a lot of fucking people on that city council who are mainly white, mainly men, are going to lose their fucking jobs, because I guarantee you they did not get there from.
It reminds me of The Wire, in the sense that he goes, you chase the drugs, you get drug dealers and addicts, but you chase the money, you get
You don't
exactly.
Know
so same for racism. Sure, if you're looking for occurrence of the word nigger, sure, you'll have racists and victims of racism. But if you go after who benefits from it, like how a police can get away with murdering a black person by simply saying he feared for his life. You know what I mean? Same for Native people. Carding, high prison population, the fact that for black people, in order for me to survive in this society, I got to code switch. I got to tap dance in front of your wife.
If they really want to solve this problem, people are going to lose their jobs.
That's what I was exactly.
That's what's going to happen. People are going to lose their jobs. It's so ingrained in the system that you would be like, oh, if you really want to study it, you really want to understand it. But this is a Band-Aid. They just want to. Does it exist? And what they're looking for is a hillbilly dude.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Some fucking.
We need a boogeyman.
Look at him. He doesn't know better. He's not like us. We know better.
Exactly.
All right, let's wrap it up on that one. That was a good episode.
Bang on.
We didn't solve anything. We're never gonna. Well, this is a problem we never solve.
I love how we pointed out how the inner Uncle Ruckus. That came out. Like, come on, Hamilton can't be that bad. Bing! What the fuck?
It's bad when you know. Yeah, it's bad when you live it.
Shit. So if I ever drive by, at some point I'm coming to Toronto, right? But I realize if I'm driving in your neighborhood, both hands on the steering wheel, drive the speed limit.
You'll be fine. Like it's not America. It's fine. It's just that you're gonna deal with it's more ignorance than anything else. I mean, not that it's more ignorance than there's a sense of entitlement, and there's a sense of you're better. Like the white people
here
they
think they're better. Yeah. They
think they're better. It's
I meant to write that down. It's like the N-word was created by a group of white people for another group of white people so they can feel okay about their circumstances. It's like, okay, sure you're poor, but at least you're not a nigger.
At least you're not that. All right, I'm going to stop recording right now.